Kanpai!
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 Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 238 of Kanpai, where we're going to be the hero of our own story. And what does that mean? Well, Thaylien will tell you in a little bit. But first, we got housekeeping. Obviously, first and foremost, Xeno's still on vacation. So we have our lovely guests, Nick from the Poland Ball official YouTube channel, and Anna, who does a very hard job as a being married to Nick.
I was going to say.
We not just married to we also have a currently on hiatus gaming channel together.
True.
But you know, toddler willing, that could come back sometime in the future once we have more free time in our lives.
Yeah, now that your kid's getting a little older, you might be able to start working some of that stuff back in.
Oh no! She's 3. We're talking. we're some ways off before we.
I know.
Have any.
Yeah, but she's getting there. She's becoming a real person now.
I think she's too much of a person, which is the problem.
She's feeling all of a person right now and doesn't know how to like cram some of it deep down inside so it never sees the light of day again.
Yeah, you gotta learn to repress. Right. The other quick things, you know, just the normal YouTube garbage of like commenting and subscribing if you're not already. There's an audio version, including Spotify, that you can listen to, assuming that Tiamat has properly propagated it, which I think it has. We got a Discord you can come into and drop some memes into our meme submission channel. Please come and drop some memes into our meme submission channel. It's been horribly empty this week. And Xeno has a Patreon you can use to support the channel, and we occasionally do some streaming.
Excellent.
And yeah, so now that we're through all that, we've powered through that really fast. Let's get into asking our lovely guests some questions. I've already hinted a little bit at it. The Poland Ball official channel and the game, and you hinted at the gaming channel. Do you do anything else on the internet?
No, I mean, obviously the Poland Ball channel has been a very successful project, so we're up to like 800,000 subscribers or something now.
Dang.
So yeah. So it would be stupid to not focus on that.
Yeah.
That is where you can find us. It's the Poland Ball official is what the YouTube channel is called, and that's where you can get all of your best Poland Ball memes and shorts. And we've been trying to expand and like doing more video essays and stuff of that nature to sort of like take the channel to the next level. So that's what I'm keeping busy with.
And if you want to check out Poland Ball official, links will be in the description below. Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be cool before having a kid, and I had a YouTube channel with my husband where we played video games.
I still
Yeah, having a kid makes you very cool.
I think nowadays on the internet, all I do is read Reddit while half brain dead.
Hey, you can make a pretty good YouTube career out of that.
Yes.
It's true.
I
This
read
does
it while I'm
describe
brain
half
dead.
of YouTube.
Why effort when you can just react to Reddit threads?
Exactly. Right. How did you get into anime to begin? You know, like in your formative years. Was it your friends, your parents? Well, parents. That'd be a little weird, I suppose. I guess not these days. A lot of kids are getting into it because of their parents. Yeah.
I mean, for me, it dates back to like the early 90s, right? I got into Kenshin and like Ninja Scroll and sort of like the weird
Yeah.
super violent sort of super sexualized movies and whatever. I thought those were cool when I was a teenager, and I think then it was like Spirited Away when that came out and dropped in theaters. That sort of like opened the floodgates of like, oh, okay, this
Anime
is
doesn't
actually
have to just be
more than just like a weird little wacky cool thing. This is actually something I could get into for real.
This is cinema.
There's a reason anime fans had a particular reputation back in the 90s.
Yeah, no. And I also had a friend who got really into like buying the big shonens back when they were like brand new. So I had a friend who just he went out of his way to get like One Piece, Naruto stuff, like just hardcover books, when they were like brand new. So I read One Piece Volume 1 like right when it came out.
Wow.
That's my
So
claim to fame.
you're not just being cool because Logan Paul did it.
Exactly.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry.
Anna?
I got into anime by marrying this guy. I think
That's not true. That's not true. Pokemon counts.
Yes, it does.
Okay, I
Yes.
watched Pokemon as a kid. I got into anime because I liked the Pokemon game, and then I was like, oh, wait, there's a TV series. I'm actually not sure what came first, but yeah, that's true.
I
Were
think
you
the
into
game
series
came
came
first.
after?
Yeah.
Were you one of those people who were into Sailor Moon? No? Okay, because that would have counted too.
Okay.
I actually kind of was.
Modifying question.
They used to.
What was the first anime you watched knowing what anime was?
Like voluntarily?
Yeah. Oh, well, when this guy said, "Come on, I'll show you some anime." What was it? What was the first one you knew it was anime?
Nick made her dive into the deep end with Urotsuki Doji.
No, the thing is, like, I think I've told the story last time I was on here, so I'll keep it short. But like the first time I came to Sweden to visit him, he sat me down and he was like, "We're watching that Final Fantasy movie. What was it called?
Final
Advent
Fantasy
Children.
Advent Children. Oh my god.
I'm
you
so
are
sorry.
right.
That's
I
not
showed
anime.
that-
That's not anime.
Oh, it counts though.
It kind of
really
counts.
does count,
It kind of counts.
It's having a massive resurgence with the Final Fantasy remake games and things. People have been
That is an
noticing it again.
awful first thing to show to someone to try to get
Yeah.
anime.
It is.
The
You could
next
at
thing
least
you
show
showed
this-
me was Berserk.
You monster.
I mean, that's
No,
better than-
Berserk is peak. Berserk is peak. That's fine.
Yes. But come on.
Yeah, I know. I didn't make it easier for myself. Like, just hey, you want to check out this thing I'm into here at Final Fantasy Advent Children and Berserk?
Yes.
I mean, you can
He knows
at least
how to
show
get the ladies.
Spirits Within.
Incomprehensible without the plot and background and trauma. Yeah.
I actually think after, because I hadn't played Final Fantasy before, so he just made me watch that without having the context. But now that I have seen Final Fantasy VII, I still think it's incomprehensible.
little bit, yeah.
It's still bad.
So we kind of covered
cool scenes.
We kind of covered your first anime, I suppose. What's your favorite anime? Berserk.
Mine
I get it. No, yeah.
I mean, I've talked about this before on a different Kanpai Cast I was on a long time ago, which was about like separating the artist from the art, and how I have a very complicated relationship with Rurouni Kenshin.
Yes.
Because that was like one of the most formative animes for me in the 90s, and just sort of like really set the tone for what I like, or at least I liked as a kid. And it's difficult right now because of the terabytes of cheese pizza that were found on the author's computer, and that he only got like a slap on the wrist for, and then welcomed back into the community. And he's still writing his manga, and they're doing the remake of the anime, and everything's hunky-dory and whatever. And everyone's just... And the author of One Piece is all like in support of him, and he's like, "Oh, he was my mentor. I love him and whatnot. He did nothing wrong." And I'm like, "Oh, this is bad." And so I love Kenshin, but I have such a difficult time recommending Kenshin to other people now because of the context.
That, yes.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. He's everyone's favorite, or least favorite Star Wars character. P3DO.
Ah!
What about you, Anna? What's your at the moment? What would you say your favorite is?
Yeah,
I think at the moment, definitely Frieren. I'm so happy that thing exists because nothing fucking happens, and I love that.
Well,
Cena would have words with you.
The
At the
best
same time,
Frieren
it's
episodes are
wholesome.
the ones where absolutely nothing happens, and it just it's sort of rare in today's anime. I'm gonna say with just letting a story breathe and just letting the scenes take their time and letting the viewer just take everything in. Don't have to over explain it. Just set the mood and let the viewer sort of figure out for themselves. I like that. It's rare. So I agree with Frieren. It's a breath of fresh air in a medium that's sort of lacking sometimes in some narrative qualities.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just
Fantastic.
enjoy slow storytelling in general.
That's like there's Jobless Reincarnation. That anime's got some other problems that it might have, that you could point out, but the storytelling, the story pacing is not one of them. So I definitely get where you're coming from on that one.
And then there's also Spy X Family, where the story doesn't go anywhere because they don't have a plan.
Yeah. Not enough your.
Kind of.
All right, I guess that could be your unpopular anime opinion too. I family sucks.
Yes.
No, but no, seriously. Do you have any unpopular anime opinions? Any hot takes on the current anime world?
Here's my hot take. Being for the gooners is not actually any sort of value in itself. It doesn't count for anything.
I watched a really interesting video recently that talked about how back in the old days they would use fan service as kind of a way to get interest, but then they would actually tend to tell a really good story beneath that. And these days it feels like they're just going for the interest and not worrying about the deeper story. So I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned Urotsuka Doyu, and like unironically, that's sort of an example of that.
I would say Ninja Scroll is better than Urotsuka Doji for that, but you're not wrong.
You're right.
I mean, it's a pretty basic story, but also still solid. Anyway, Anna, do you have any
unpopular anime opinions? I don't know. I just don't like Death Note.
You're in good company here.
We're all the choir with that one. Just so you know. But I can see why that people would think that's an unpopular one.
Yeah,
I think Anna's criticism boils down to like not just the whole sort of edgy thing regarding like thinking Kira is cool or whatever, but more along the lines of like it's pseudo intellectual, right?
Yes, it's a smart character written by somebody stupid.
Yeah, it's not a smart show. It's a dumb show pretending to be a smart show.
Yes.
Exactly. It's like stupid in the same way that like the later seasons of Sherlock are stupid.
Oh god, yeah, that's a really good example.
I mean, it is a good example because at its core, it is Sherlock versus Moriarty. Like that is the story of Death Note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I last up on the list. No, Thaylien, did you want to say something?
No.
Okay.
Carry on.
Last up on the list, what is an underrated anime that you feel is just being slept on that people need to watch? If you have, of course.
I mean, I'm back at Kenshin, but it's so complicated. It is underrated today. In the 90s it got its fair share of respect, but today it's been largely forgotten. I think even with the remake, no one's really talking all that much about it. But again, it's complicated. I struggle with recommending that anime, so I'm gonna have to try to think of a different one.
Well, he does that. Do you have one, Anna?
Thinking.
Well, I have to take a step back to explain why I don't. So Nick once described liking anime as like there's a lot of shit, and in order to find the good ones, you have to be willing to eat shit. I'm not, so I just let him do all of the eating. And that means that by the time he's sorted things out for me, I just get the good stuff, and none of them tend to be underrated.
Fair point.
Well,
Fair
I,
point.
I I have an underrated suggestion for you then. Underrated, although I don't see a lot of people talking about it anymore, and that would be Ghost Stories. Go watch Ghost Stories.
Come on, man.
Or at least watch the compilation
The
videos of
original-
the funniest bits.
Yeah, the original dub was something magical and does in some way need to be experienced. But we recorded a show recently about how experiencing a bad show is sometimes a good thing because it can give you context for things.
Are you just telling me to watch the anime equivalent of The Room?
Oh
no. So Ghost Stories, when they imported it to America, they didn't get the scripts, and so much like Samurai Pizza Cats, they just kind of made it up as they went along. And there are so many off-color jokes in it that are just like, you can't say that. You can't get away with it. You just can't say that. But they do, and it's hilarious.
Yes.
I think I've heard of that. Now that you mention it, yeah.
Isn't Ghost Stories the one with the specific line? At least we know he's not racist.
Yes, because he wasn't running any faster.
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to explain
run faster.
One,
pretend there's a person of a certain color behind you. It's like, I can't. I'm going as fast as I can. Well, at least we know he's not racist.
And then falls over. He falls over on his hands and knees, panting. Yeah. Oh well, at least we know he's not racist.
Yeah. Did you ever come up with one, Nick?
Man, I am thinking real hard.
Well, you don't have to come up with an answer if you can't.
Don't hurt yourself.
Can I go with, like, I don't know, some of the Studio Ghibli movies that are not like the heavy hitters, right? If we don't just go with
like Porco Rosso or similar.
Exactly, or Panda Copanda. I love that. But but something like, I don't know, Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, which is like amazing as well.
It's like the classic.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if Nausicaa is underrated. It might be. I mean, it's obviously not as well known or as big as something like Spirited Away or Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah,
but it did have Patrick Stewart in the dub, so at least there's that.
Ooh, I didn't know that. But no, basically, you can't go wrong with Studio Ghibli. Like, I think like any Ghibli movie. We recently watched The Boy and the Heron, and it's like, yeah. He still got it.
So Zeno did not like that one, but I loved it.
I was gonna say it's lacking some of the narrative focus of his earlier works. You can tell a little bit that he's getting old, I guess, and his mind is sort of like veering off in different directions, and it doesn't feel as tight writing wise as, for example, Spirited Away does. Because Spirited Away, there's not a single redundant scene in that movie. Like, everything is needed. Every single scene is needed to tell that story.
Right.
Nothing is redundant. Everything makes sense. Everything adds to like the vibe of the movie. The Boy and the Heron is a bit more unfocused in that regard, I would say, but it's still good.
I think that makes sense because it's sort of like a daydream. Right, the kid's in this unknown place. There's nothing to do, so he starts daydreaming, and daydreams tend to be kind of unfocused.
I definitely am.
But we're not here to talk about that show today. I'm sure we could at some point.
We could mention, yeah. We are going to bring up one of the Ghibli movies because I thought that would be entertaining to include.
Indeed. Right. So, speaking of Ghibli movies and today's topic, Thaylien, you want to explain today's topic to the viewers at home? And
absolutely. So, Kanpai Cast did in fact discuss this one, 2 years ago, more than. Hang on, am I looking? My camera's reversed down in this mode. Interesting. I've been flipped.
Oh.
Same. I keep trying to point at Nick, but it's going the wrong way.
I can compensate for that. There we go. So the topic is we're not so different, you and I, where you can take the. In this case, we're gonna get a little bit into this. The protagonist of a show and the antagonist, and talk about how it would impact their show if the person flip roles. So, for example, switching Goku and Frieza or similar. You can even go further back than that. Goku and Vegeta switching them. But the idea is that there are some that have characters that mirror each other. When you look at, say, in fact, Death Note, because it's not a very good show, but they did have that classic Holmes and Moriarty aspect. He's just got in and flipped me again.
No, I flipped Anna.
Oh, good. Okay. Good.
I can flip you if you want me to.
Let me do that. I see you messing about the settings. So, because Death Note has that Holmes and Moriarty thing, we can imagine quite easily that from one perspective and the other, you can flip them, right, and have the other character in the hero's seat, in the detective seat, and have the other as the killer. And that process is really easy to imagine. You can see how that would go, because even in the show itself, Hira Light had his memories taken away on purpose and started acting as a fellow detective completely naturally, completely as he
because that's
really not ever had a Death Note.
Yeah, that's the trajectory he was on before he found the Death Note, because his dad's a cop, it was just going to be what he did.
Yes.
He does have, in his own way, a strong sense of justice.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about being the antagonist, being the villain of the story, is that sometimes your strong sense of justice will lead you down to the wrong decisions.
Power corrupts. Yeah.
Yes. And that's why it can be really interesting to stick the person you're following, the ostensible hero of the story, in the villain's position and vice versa. Death Note's weird because you're following the villain of the story as the protagonist. But, it's also one of these weird ones that so many people get wrong. So many people think he's a hero, and he's not. He's quite clearly the villain. But
sometimes you need a villain to be the hero.
No, I think here's what I think, where I think it is a bit more muddled and complex a bit when you discuss Kira, because yes, obviously he is the villain, and obviously he's completely out of control. But it is interesting though to throw out the question to people of like, if you got the Death Note, would you use it?
Knowing that there are people in the Epstein files who are getting away with stuff, right, currently.
Like, for an example.
Would you?
Because I could just ask you, if you got the Death Note in your hand right now, would you use it? And I think a lot of people who feel like Kira is the villain, and I agree he is, still
are tempted.
Gotta stop and think before you answer that question, right?
Because you could actually do a lot of good in the world if you took out, people that are perpetuating wars or people that are doing awful things and getting away with it. But is that right? It's sort of like the American justice system, where they're like, it's better that 1,000 guilty people walk free or something like that than one innocent person goes to jail. And that's sort of the situation you're in with Death Note.
Exactly. We say that, but at the same time, when we see
would you do it?
There's a two-tier justice system, and we see that the law applies to some people but not others. Some people can just do whatever they want, and there are no.
And other people don't do anything.
They don't even have to try to hide it.
Yeah.
So I have a fun or a weird perspective on that. You know, me being German/Austrian and learning about the Holocaust in school, and everyone's like, oh, you know, like, yeah, our grandparents' generation did that, but obviously everyone's grandpa was in the resistance, number one. And number two, if you ask them, there's like, no, obviously I wouldn't have done that. I would have stood up for things. And I'm like, if everyone thought that, then why did it happen? Yeah. So I think the number of people that would say I would never use the Death Note is versus the number of people that would actually use the Death Note skews way harder in the would actually use it lane.
Because that's the dichotomy. That's what makes it difficult. Because my own perspective, I'll share it. Is like, yes, I think Kira is a villain. I think Kira needed to be stopped.
Yes.
Also, yes, if I had the Death Note, I would use it.
Would you use the Death Note to kill baby Hitler?
All right. No, so here's the thing. I figure right now that sitting here as I am, I would use it, but I would not use it.
Feel good about it.
That no. I would not use it in the way that Kira does, where he just certain criminals deserve to die. No, I would use this as a way to bring people the consequences of their actions.
But who determines that?
Hold on.
Who makes you judge, jury, and executioner?
No, I understand.
I mean, this is
use it as a scalpel instead of as a hammer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, in this sense, for example, let's take the current American political scene, right? I would not assassinate Donald Trump as such.
Let's be a little careful with the wording around this.
Yeah. Let's not get this video flagged.
I would not. I would write his name in, but the methodology. I would write his name, but the methodology would be that, say, he goes on a fiery tirade in front of his audience, and this causes him to gesture wildly, fall, and not have a heart attack, but fall, and maybe because of course you can dictate other factors. It's not always a heart attack.
No, exactly. You can write exactly how it's going to happen.
Yeah, you can plan out exactly how it happens. So he falls and accidentally hits his head on, say, the side of the podium. You know,
see, that's the thing. That's the thing about Kira, where he didn't specify
he kept making it too mysterious.
It was always the heart attack because he wanted people to know that he existed.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because he was a terrorist. He was doing it because he wanted to put fear into the general population.
Yes, he wanted to become the new god of this world through the power of the Death Note.
Okay, but he could have done that in a much funnier way now that I think about it, because it would have been...
Sorry, just the simple way. He could have done it in a much funnier way. Okay, please. Go
Everyone dies by choking on a banana. Everyone.
Yes, I was thinking of a falling piano, but choking on a banana is fine too, actually.
A chicken banana?
Sudden rain of dildos.
Yeah, I think I would use it too.
Outrageous.
But I wouldn't feel good about using it, even though I might be doing good things with it. I would still be like, because it does still make you a murderer, even if that murder is 100%. Proper and just and righteous, you know.
Yeah, no, it does.
I think, knowing myself, I think I probably wouldn't, but I would spiral into like feelings of guilt and depression over all of the bad that I'm letting happen by not using it.
Okay, but feeling guilt and depression about everything in your life, that is just how you are an Austrian.
Is it like being is being Austrian basically in England? Is being Austrian essentially the same as being a Catholic? You're just raised on institutional guilt?
We are Catholics.
Oh, well, there you go. It makes sense.
What's the name of that famous Austrian actor? The one in
Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz. Yeah, he explained that on a talk show he was on. He was said that like he wanted to like explain the Austrian mentality to the host, and he was like, "Well, what you do is you go out and you go to a cafe and you sit down by yourself, having a coffee and thinking about death."
See, when you said that famous Austrian actor, I completely thought you were going to say Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Leave it alone.
Arnold, yeah, that's the other one.
Yes.
That everyone thinks is German for some reason.
He fits the other stereotype of Austrians.
Yes, well, you don't go out to the cafe, you go out to the gym. And you think about escaping your death by, pushing it away with heavy weights.
Do we have any other points on Death Note that we want to hit?
Well, I mean, the topic of the show was like switching roles between like actually making
good point.
him the hero and making L the villain. But that sort of, it's difficult in this regard because like how do you
well, okay, because
then you have to find out. Then you have to figure out some way of using the
if he got the Death Note
in a way that would be heroic, which is difficult.
Yes.
Or
give L the Death Note. That L would get the Death Note?
Yeah, give L the Death Note and have Light chasing him.
The villain, and L would be the protagonist, right? But this is actually not a bad thing when you stop and think about it, because think about their personalities in this.
Would L use the Death Note?
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing. By making him the villain, we're assuming he does. Okay? But L is.
But would he use it the same way? Yeah.
L's a
no, he would not.
He's a shut-in. L is somebody who hides his identity away and wants to be. And he's intelligent. He's not gregarious in any way, whereas Light, Kira, wanted to be, the best. So he went out to school. He had his family. He had these things. He was as much of an extrovert as somebody can get in that particular thing, right? So his aspirations, as he wanted his justice to rule the world, to become the god of the world, because he believes that his viewpoint on everything was more objectively correct, right? Whereas L, as a personality, is more questioning. He's more, as I say, introverted. He'd take into account the system that he's working into. This the idea of killing somebody. What can it be used for? What is the actual end I'm going to get? I'm not trying to be God. I'm not trying to be. My justice isn't trying to be supreme. What can I fix about this world? You see?
Well, I struggle with the concept for Death Note specifically because the way that I recall it, and it's been a couple of years, but the only thing that we learn about L in general is kind of his obsession about catching Kira.
Yes.
Because we don't know about his private life or anything outside of his hunt at all, right?
We learn a little bit in part 2 about sort of the institute where he was raised, because then Nier and Mello come as like the next generation of people who were like brought up in the same institute. But no, we don't learn a whole lot about him other than like he comes from this institute where they pick gifted autistic kids or whatever and bring them up to be crime fighters, I guess.
Yeah.
We learn we learn more about him through his interactions with, or through the way Light like looks at him. So we don't. All we ever really know about him is through Light's eyes, essentially.
Yes, but also in his actual reactions to situations.
Yeah.
And well, let's take that further. He's a man raised to be to decode the criminal mind and be an investigator, right? To be a crime.
He's Will
fighter
Graham
for
from
generation.
the Hannibal Lecter series.
Well, he's like an AI in that, like he's very impersonal about all of this. He doesn't care about any of it on a personal level, which is risky, because then he would like take the clinical approach to using the Death Note, but he would use it without humanity. He would use it like a robot. He would use it like Skynet would use it.
Yes. And on top of that, he would have the training to cover up his tracks from other people that think like him. So we'd have to take the alternate view as Light being the hero in this one, right? He is having to try and Sherlock things from a position of not being Sherlock. Okay.
Yeah, he's just a random high schooler.
Yes, he
without the Death Note.
He's trying to figure out a way to beat somebody who has a genius level intellect that's taking all these precautions. How does he find out about it? How does he, know that this is going on? And, how does he proceed through this investigation to try and catch somebody who's already planned out against the kind of investigations that people would normally do?
Because that's the thing, right? L at his core is smarter than Kira is. It's just that Kira cheats. Kira has an unfair advantage. But if the roles were reversed, how do you stop someone who is smarter than you are and
I don't know that I agree with that. I think
Really?
I think Light is supposed to be. Obviously, we've said this is a smart character written by an idiot. So, but Light is supposed to be clever. It's just that he's also
he makes
impulsive.
so many mistakes.
That's because he's impulsive, right? Once he makes a mistake, he's clever enough in getting out of it, using what he has at his advantage to do that. But he jumps into things before he actually thinks them fully out. Whereas L really analyzes the entire situation front to back first and then jumps.
Yeah.
But that's part of being smart.
Yeah.
And I say this as a person that works with a lot of smart people. Yeah, exactly. Right? Where it's like, okay, but you have to use that smart brain in the right way.
Yeah.
Creativity. So so think about that. Imagine it as, okay, Batman is the world's greatest detective, in theory. But his answer to many of his villainous problems is punching them in the face.
Yes.
So he will solve Joker riddles, right? Because the Joker's riddles are made to be solved, ultimately. But hoping to catch him by trapping him.
You mean the Riddler's riddles?
Yeah, I was going to say, you mean the Riddler's riddles?
Riddler's riddles. Riddler makes things to be solved, but hoping to catch Batman out in something he's not intelligent enough to solve, right? But ultimately have these things be solvable. And that leads to his downfall and getting punched in the face.
Yeah. Light's better at responding to things than coming up with them on his own. So that does kind of make sense, yeah.
So, if L was using this in an in a unempathetic and unfeeling fashion, in a logical, cold fashion, and doing this, somebody would notice. And if we say that somebody is Light, maybe he is the conspiracy theorist that believes this is all connected. Maybe he's the impulsive guy that's saying, "No, this isn't right. These things are connected somehow. I know it sounds crazy."
It's that Always Sunny meme where he's doing the board with the conspiracy board.
He's got the board up and he's no, look, this they can't be unrelated. No. And so he maybe goes into this thing, he brings in other people that think differently to him. Maybe he solves the mystery through brute forcing some of the conclusions. Like maybe,
oh my god, it's the same way everyone thinks that Masada is behind things right now. Only it would be L.
No, I just realized how L gets caught, because what you're describing with L is literally, he's like the Ted Kaczynski of anime in that case, right? The Unabomber. So the way that he gets caught is not by Light catching him. It's like his brother-in-law reading his 200-page manifesto and realizing that he uses the saying, eating your cake and having it in a really peculiar, weird way. I don't think Light catches him at all in this scenario.
What I mean is, so Light's trying, he's doing that, and it's only because he makes enough noise that somebody comes forward with the information.
Well,
that they have saying, "Oh, I think you should know there was this particular movement by the government to take kids and train them up to be criminal, to become detective geniuses." And the modus operandi of this guy is very similar to that. Maybe you should
profilers, criminal profilers. That's what you're looking for.
Criminal profilers, yes,
pretty much
like that.
And I guess it would be like, because obviously Light is, I mean, L is like autism coded in like his portrayal, obviously. So
Definitely.
it would be something like that where he does something that he thinks is normal but isn't.
Yes. Yeah. So like the equivalent of
there we have it. Yeah. Kira is
mentals,
or Light is more creative and more human in his way of thinking, and that is his strength,
and so
and more reactive.
If he were the hero.
He spots flaws in judgment that a empathetic human wouldn't make, but a logical human would. Maybe he thinks, no, but that's wrong because people would have an emotional response to that. This person didn't. See? Maybe something like that.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
So it does, in fact, have some... I kind of think I would watch that version.
The
probably
emperor,
would too.
Not emperor. The prime minister of Japan is suddenly mysteriously killed because they want to militarize Japan more, and L thinks that's a bad idea. But most of the country would be like, "Oh no, our prime minister is gone. What this is a sad day." But L's just kind of like sitting there, blank faced, and Light goes, "Oh."
But that is Skynet. That is Skynet. Skynet realized 5 minutes after becoming sentient that like humanity would eventually like kill him or whatever, and decided to like take a proactive measure. But that's the thing. That's how Light would use the Death Note, not like Kira in like killing criminals. He would analyze.
That's how L would use the Death Note.
Yeah, L. He would analyze, I don't know, political decisions and like what long-term ramifications would be. He would go after people who did things that at a glance seems normal.
How would this destabilize the region?
Not even that. Because that's how you would discover it. Like as soon as any politician makes any sort of like really controversial decision, and then they end up dead shortly after. Because that's what he would do. He would
be the conspiracy board.
Maintain the status quo by like just taking out anything that sticks out.
Yes. So peace by hammering down
by
the
boredom.
Nails. Yes. Peace by complete uninterrupted
sanding off the rough edges.
Events. Yeah. No, that's it. Yeah, I think we've hit on a show that if written by somebody who's smart enough to write decent puzzles, I would really watch.
Well, the thing is, that's how I feel about the original Death Note.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was actually written by somebody smarter. Yeah.
It's an interesting idea. It's just executed poorly,
Correct. So let's round this one out and move on to another show, because you guys talked about bringing on something like Frieren as well, where you suggested Frieren the Bogeyman.
Well, that is what she is to the demons.
Exactly. But that's what I meant. I was like, imagine a world where we don't see things from Frieren's and the human perspective, but it turns out demons aren't actually evil; they're just different. And Frieren is like literally
humans in this case.
And Frieren's basically just doing like a Holocaust all by herself.
How old does some media be before you can spoil it? In this case, a video game.
How old is the video game in question?
We can always wait. We can always just put up spoilers. We can put up a spoiler tag.
Yeah,
it might be a spoiler. It might be a spoiler to say how old the video game is. But I'll say the video game is approximately 15 years old.
Oh, that's probably fine.
So then it's probably fine. But here, we've got the spoiler tag on screen.
Yeah,
anybody who doesn't want spoilers about this particular one, I will note down what the spoiler pertains to in the timestamps. And you can
okay, so this is just the story of Nier. Not Nier Automata,
but the actual
the original Nier Replicant. Because that is exactly what happens, where you play as a protagonist in this post-apocalyptic world, and there is these shadows or whatever that are threatening and whatnot, and you kill them as you go through the story. But then, because this is how Yoko Taro writes games, where it's like, first you go through the story and you think you know what the story is, but then he turns things on their head.
Fuck, I can't wait to see what he does with Ava.
Typically, because you have to play through the story again. But now you play through the story from a different perspective. So in the case of Nier, it's like, now you play through the story again, but this time you can understand what the shades are saying.
Yes.
Because they are talking. And you learn more about the story through that. And there's like, oh, they're actually not monsters. There's something else. And the really gross revelation here is that once upon a time, before the world went under, some apocalyptic event happened that caused everyone in the world. Yeah, end of Drakengard. That caused everyone in the world to have an incurable disease. And the solution to doing this was to create replicants, to create like synthetic humans or whatever. We create new bodies that don't have souls, basically. And just because humanity is fucked. Humanity's fucked, and everyone is going to die, and there's no cure. We need new bodies for everyone.
But if you could put your brain in a robot body.
Yeah. So we created the replicants, we created synthetic bodies, and then they just walk around, grow, create a new generation of humans or whatnot, and they wander around and they act like humans, and they are like humans, but they don't have souls, basically. And what we did was we separated all of humans' souls from their bodies, and those human souls became the shades that are sort of wandering the world now as ghosts. So what happened
back in, basically, could they?
Yeah. So what happened over time was that these replicants started developing their own personalities and their own lives, and I guess maybe their own souls. They started growing those over time. And then when the first shade sort of was supposed to merge back with like a synthetic body, it rejected him. And as such, that whole plan for saving humanity failed. And now we have these replicants walking around in the world, and you play as them, or you play as one of them, and you think you're the hero of the story, but suddenly you're like, oh, I'm actually not. So yeah, back to Frieren, because same thing here. We have the perspective of humanity, but what if you instead saw the story from the perspective of the demons?
Yes. So in Frieren, the demons currently are predators that prey upon humans, and that it is an unequivocal fact in the actual show. They are just, the next step up the food chain and evolve to
they treat humans the same way we treat chickens.
Yeah, basically. More in the sense that they act more. They kind of like
or deer hunting,
the equivalent of a duck
or
call.
Yeah.
They make the right noises, and it allows them to catch and eat their prey. And if they make the right noises enough times, they can even catch and eat their prey, and the rest of the herd won't turn them away, and they can keep doing it for a few times.
But it's weird, because that's what we've been told, but it doesn't really add up, because we still see that the demons have some sort of society that we don't know all that much about.
Well, yeah, but humans have society, even though we hunt ducks,
Yes. So that's the thing, because
the Nazis had society.
So just because they're thinking creatures that can now think about and make the right noises, of course they have developed their own society. So if we were to flip that on its head and have the demons be a species on this world who's
just trying to make their way in life,
and and the only reason that they would ever attack humans is because humans are invading their territory. Right? And elves. Humans and elves. And so elves in this case are the predators, as it were. The aggressors in this case.
Maybe they need breathing room.
Maybe elves see demons as another invasive species similar to humans, but with more power, so they have to get rid of them. You know,
maybe demons live longer, and so they're more of a rival to the long-lived elves.
Yes, something like that. And so, Frieren herself is not a heroic mage that's traveled with the hero to defeat the Demon King. She is basically an assassin of demon.
Himmel's not actually a hero. He was a mass murderer.
No.
Well, imagine the demon's perspective. Imagine if we here in our world, if there was like just a dog that was walking around as someone's pet, and it was actually secretly smarter and more powerful than all of us, but it's pretending not to be, just so that it can catch us off guard.
Did you mean cephalopods? Octopus
True.
And squid. I'm fairly sure that they're more intelligent than we are. Intelligent enough to...
As a real-life parallel, I've stopped eating octopus because I feel uncomfortable about it because I think they're too smart.
Yeah.
They're too smart. They're too smart, and I don't like eating them because they're too smart.
Yeah. I don't know if they're as clever as we are, but they definitely, I mean, they can make tools, they can hide, they can like perform amazing escape attempts. Like there's
I can't eat something that can do math.
Same way I wouldn't eat a dolphin. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so if we're taking that story that Himmel is basically an invader that was trying to kill off Demon King to give the humans more land, more control of the world. And he brought with him a powerful elf mage who is basically a demon assassin.
So it's basically just like a settlers versus Indians story.
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah,
we have that kind of Native American versus colonizers.
It's interesting, that perspective, because always, like, you so often write a story as some sort of hero's journey, right? And Frieren draws inspiration from the hero's journey, obviously, because like that's a core.
That's why it's even beyond Journey's End, because
exactly.
the hero's journey's over.
It obviously started from the framework of the hero's journey, very intentionally so. But it's very rare that you see the opposite. It's very rare. It's always because it's always David versus Goliath. It's always the tiny little band of heroes versus the big land of demons or whatever. That's how you write a protagonist story or whatever.
Yeah.
But the idea of you see things from the perspective of society, and there's this small little group encroaching on it and just trying to sort of like destroy it, and you have to defend yourself against that. I don't know if I've seen all that much media ever where you write from that perspective.
No, because usually it's like you brought up the indigenous Americans, right? People who destroyed those tribes, people groups, were often seen as heroes. They're stopping the savage from destroying our wonderful people and way of life. You know, it's though they were we realize
is written by the victors.
Exactly. So like exactly what you're saying. You know, they're written as the heroes, regardless of if they are or not, because of the society they're in.
With this, okay.
I have an example. I have an example.
Yep.
Blade Runner.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough. So
Blade Runner is where the replicants who are showing up are
terrorists.
Coded. They're coded as the villains because society is the protagonist. But if you really sort of like scrape beneath the layers, it was like, okay.
They just want to live.
So on this then, we're taking it as society. So Anna, who would be your preferred character to be the hero of this story? Who's the hero of the demons?
I mean,
Lugna.
Zoltrak.
No, you're just making fun of my feelings about all of the German names in the show.
It's like, I wonder if he's a villain when his name is literally Liar.
Well.
Yeah, I can always tell what kind of character a person is going to have on that show, based on their name. I don't know, because it's like, I mean, that's the thing, right? There's no one like overarching like enemy so far. So I just think like any random ass demons or just like a band of demons, like not a big name. Just...
Yeah, well, at the same time, Aura is a very charismatic character.
Aura the
and then if you combine her with
the hot demon,
Revolte, for example.
Yeah. Now in season 2, we did see an example of that, of demons like talking to each other from a bit of a different perspective from in season 1, where they are sort of like trying to understand humans and be like, they're weird to us. We don't understand their rationale. We don't understand why they do the things we do. But it's probably not important, right? But they're still asking questions about it, which is more than the demons in season 1 did. They were more one-dimensional as characters.
They were. So, could you perhaps, let's see, if we take Aura as their mage and we give them Revolte as their warrior, and of course they've got maybe Luca as their priest stand-in, and then they're accompanied by Linnea and Drat for the thing, and they were trained by good old Qual, who invented the Soul Track spell, back in the day, and maybe they become alerted that this journey is starting again because their old teacher was briefly resurrected after being sealed for 50 years, only to be instantly defeated, and they felt that somehow. Right? And so they are now on alert and having to go out and confront Frieren the Slayer and her new team of invaders.
I saw an interesting take on Frieren before, where it's like sort of like showing how you can view her as antagonistic, sort of like in her methods, because they were like, if you look at how she kills demons. Okay, the guy who invented Zoltrak, she kills him with Zoltrak. The guy who uses the wires to cut things or whatever, she cuts off his hands and then slices his throat. It was like Aura, she uses her own spell against her. She always does that. She always takes their own thing and kills them with it because it's personal. And she doesn't just want to kill them. She wants to humiliate them while she's doing it.
To show them they're not superior to her. That the human race isn't superior. So in this case, you would think that maybe that's her MO, is that she's humiliating people before she kills them. And that's why she's so terrifying. She always uses the most, uses what you... There was a Western movie. No, it was bloody Dragon Ball Z.
Oh?
Yes. The Android saga, where 17 and 18 first emerged from the thing, and also in the future arc where you meet them in Trunks' future, right? They wouldn't just key blast everything, right? 17 would literally, if somebody shot a gun at him, he would literally go and take their gun away and shoot them with their gun.
Right.
Yeah. Because he could have killed them at any time. They can't hurt him. But a gun is something that the other character understands and knows exactly what's going to happen. So there's no confusion, there's no thing. He just takes their weapon away from them and uses it on them. And that was one of the things they used to make 17 and 18 look very, very evil.
Yes.
So
yes, because it's the cruelty. It's that's typically the difference in how you write. Because even if you have a hero who's forced to kill. It's sort of like, it's very typical of like how who talks about that, about monologuing.
Yes.
It's from some sort of media where it's like, where you'd rather have a villain pointing a gun toward your head than a hero, because the villain is going to be monologuing for 15 minutes and just really making you sort of understand how desperate your situation is or whatever. Whereas the hero is just going to shoot you.
Terry Pratchett,
yes,
was the one that did that. He said, "Son, pray that you." It's Sam Vimes' teacher.
Yes,
when he was when he's young, he says, "When you're confronting a guy with a sword at your throat, pray that he's an evil man, because an evil man will want to make you scared. He'll talk. He'll tell you his plans. You can."
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
With an evil man. Whereas a good man, if a good man decides that you belong dead, you'll be dead before you can even react to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless it's that situation from Watchmen with Ozymandias, where it's like, oh, I already did it 30 minutes ago. I'm having my monologue after. You're already fucked.
Well, one could argue that Ozymandias might not be a good man. Who knows? But yeah,
that's what I'm arguing.
Yeah.
But that was my point.
He's an evil man, but he monologued, but he didn't monologue in vain. He monologued because he'd already done his evil thing.
Yeah, you're already fucked.
But that is my point about Frieren, in that like she does have some villainous tendencies in her methods, in how she goes about killing demons.
I'm just now imagining the end of Watchmen in JoJo style. In Fist of the North Star style. Right. So
okay.
So Fist of the North Star style. And so there's Dr. Manhattan saying, the first thing I learned how to do was reconstruct myself. And he's about to blow him up. But then he just looks up. You are already nuked.
Time has already stopped. Nani? Sorry.
Nani? And then he feels it all blow up around him and he has to leave.
Shoot, I was going to bring something up. And now I've forgotten.
Sorry. Mm-hmm.
Well, this wasn't what I was going to bring up, but it's adjacent to it. Oh, you're talking about monologuing and the villain, the villain monologuing and everything.
Yes.
And every time that comes up, I'm reminded of the game Asura's Wrath, where there's literally an option to interrupt the monologuing of the villain by punching them in the face. And it's so good. You can either sit there and listen to them, or you can be like, nah, screw you, and punch them.
So yeah, I think so. In this case, I'm fairly sure that Frieren as a villain would monologue. In that sense, she would say, "You demons always think you're so powerful, that kind of thing, but I will turn your own spells against you."
Oh, that was what it was. We were talking earlier about the Death Note and how, like, me specifically, I would use it, but I wouldn't feel good about it. It feels like Frieren feels good about what she's doing.
Oh yeah,
really, really good about what she's doing.
I agree.
It's the only way she can get hard.
Well, that and sticking her face in chests that eat her.
You can tell by the ear boner, and she does.
Yeah.
Aura. Sudoku yourself. Pating! Ears right up.
So do we want to move on to another one now?
I think this is a really good one. So yeah, let's move on to one of the others. What do you guys suggest? Because we did. So you guys
Attack on Titan,
and we did it.
That one already did it. That one did it to itself, though.
Yes, it did.
It did do it to itself. We can talk about Attack on Titan. One that I had thought before we started recording was One Punch Man.
We could do that one instead.
You could say some kind of interesting things about.
Yes.
Because I don't know how. Because like obviously I'm a manga reader. I know that season 3 of the anime just came out and it was very sort of panned for budget issues and like really shoddy animation, and it's some of the lowest rated anime episodes ever of any anime ever, which is a sad fall from grace from season 1 and the standing it used to have as a show. But if you just go by the narrative of it, we're currently right in the middle of like the monster association arc, right?
Yes.
And we sort of learn a bit more about monsters in that show. And we learn that like monsters that are just spawned out of nowhere, that have always been monsters, it's super rare. That's not the norm. Almost all monsters were at some point human. And they've been turned into monsters from something that has happened to them. And typically it's trauma. Typically it's something traumatic that happens in your life.
Through trauma.
That turns you over to the dark side, right? It's the Sith thing or whatever. So that from the start lends itself to being able to write a monster as a sympathetic character. And we
Very much so.
We have an example of that, and I can't spoil it, but there is an example of that in the manga, which you will see later.
I think the closest we have right now is Garo.
Well, I'm going to get to him. Because he has very important points about this. But yeah, there is a monster who is still sort of sympathetic to humanity, and just his trauma has turned him into a monster, but he is still human at heart, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So you can absolutely write that as a protagonist. And the criticism that exists of the hero association, which is currently exemplified by Garo, where he's saying that like you are not real heroes, you were heroes for hire, you were mercenaries. Like One Punch Man actually does this better than My Hero Academia does, because My Hero Academia tries to do the same thing with the League of Villains and Stain, for example, talking about how most heroes aren't real heroes. He only considers All Might to be a real hero, and everyone else is just a pretender, basically, and he doesn't acknowledge that they are actually symbols of justice. And
they're doing it for a job. They're clocking in to be
exactly
for hire.
Exactly. And in the case of the Hero Association from One Punch Man, you could also argue you can turn the capitalist twist on it, where like you are basically protecting corporate interests more than actually serving the people. And that's going to be a thing later in the story of a new hero association popping up called the Neo Heroes. Who challenge the Hero Association on those premises of being like, you are not real heroes, you are just corporate bodyguards. And then you just twist that around again by being like, oh, the Neo we're getting into real life politics here. We're like, the Neo Heroes are also sort of like secretly corrupt in nature. It's the Star Wars thing. It's the Star
Republicans
Wars
versus Democrats
thing.
It's
the Star Wars prequel thing where it's the
both sides are bad.
The droids versus the whatnots, but it's actually the Emperor controlling both sides, so he doesn't care who wins because he will win no matter what.
Well, so even beyond that, the Jedi, you could argue, were in some ways the bad guys in that. Even though obviously the Sith were the worst guys. Yeah.
Yes. You could argue, exactly. They're dogmatic to the point of losing track of goodness. But all I'm saying is that One Punch Man actually deals with this subject better than My Hero Academia does, even though My Hero Academia tries to approach the same subject, but it's so obvious with the League of Villains that it's just come on.
My Hero Academia falls into Death Note territory with that, where it's written by somebody who doesn't fully understand it.
Or it's the shonen perspective. You have to keep it at like a teenager's level of media literacy.
That's very true, yes. So to keep this a little bit more on track, I love the idea of writing all of these as sympathetic villains, and they're allowing that to turn them into heroes, because there are a couple. If you think about it, what was the very first episode of One Punch Man? The first manga episode and TV episode?
The one with
Was-
Carblante?
Crablante or Vaccine Man? Which one are you thinking about?
Vaccine Man.
Yeah.
So that was the very first appearance, is against a creature that is the very earth itself, crying out because humanity has ruined it. Humanity is a virus, and it's trying to be the vaccine against humanity. So it's literally Mother Nature's crying out in pain and has manifested a creature to try and save itself. And some guy who calling himself a hero, in this case, pretending to be a hero, comes and punches it into oblivion.
Yeah. And the thing about Saitama is that he doesn't have strong convictions. He says that he is a hero as a hobby.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and if
he's just looking for somebody that's strong enough to fight. That he doesn't care if he actually protects people.
And
Yes.
if he were to be the villain, it's like you wouldn't have to twist all that much about his personality, because he's really sort of like,
if there happened to be a hero that was strong enough to fight him, he'd probably fight him.
Yes. Well, that's the funny thing, because we actually see that in the manga. When there's a later thing, he actually fights Tsubaki, Tornado of Terror.
Tatsumaki?
Sorry, Tatsumaki. Yes, Tatsumaki.
Yeah.
Sorry. Why do I say who was Tsubaki when I'm thinking of her?
Tsubaki, I don't
Yeah,
know.
Tatsumaki. Yeah, so Tatsumaki, Tornado of Terror,
Cat
Tatsumaki.
Tax time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it walking around in the background of my video
absolutely. a lot. So, Tatsumaki, Tornado of Terror, he fights her. And in this situation, it is because he knows that Tatsumaki is powerful, so he gets her out of the base of operations, because she's basically just breaking it. So let's take this outside because you're breaking everything. He's not actually worried about the people that are going to get hurt. He's not worried about anything. He's just worried about the base getting destroyed because he lives there currently, right? But he has a huge amount of fun in the fight against her, where she doesn't realize quite how strong he is until he literally grabs her in a bear hug and leaps out of the building, out into an abandoned city. They fight around, and there's actually a fantastically funny scene where he gets chased by her back to the base, and so he decides to bounce off the wall and head the other way before she can catch up. And he does it right in front of King. Yes. And so he stops. Oh, hi, King. Yeah, nice to see you. It's just, hi, Saitama. Yeah, I'm just going to go, and bounces off the other way. But Tatsumaki can't turn that fast, and so she comes in at high speed and crashes into the wall in front of him, absolutely scaring the shit out of him, and goes the other way. But in both the original and the redrawn manga, that moment where she she hits the wall, she turns into the little gremlin mode, the little chibi mode that wanders, and King's looking at it and he's saw her panties.
Yes, that is the scene where we actually got confirmation that she does in fact wear panties, which was a big sort of debate in the community of does she or doesn't she? Because it in some shots is really, really hard to tell.
Really hard to tell. So,
however,
anyway, but
he
has
I know
so much fun in that fight because he's fighting somebody that's almost on his level in that respect.
There was a thing in season 1 as well, where the martial arts tournament. The whole point of that was that season 1 or season 2 with Suru in
season 2.
Yeah. The whole point of that was that the only reason why he entered it was because he had heard that martial artists are really strong, and he's like, oh, maybe there's something here that I had missed. Maybe here I can find some sort of actual challenge. But it is fun, the dichotomy between him and Garou, where Garou is driven by extremely strong convictions.
Yes.
Strong convictions that have led him down the path of being a villain, so to speak.
But actually not.
But actually not, because he sees the system of heroes that exists today as something that is inherently corrupt, and he believes that he needs to become a symbol of fear. he needs to become something that the world can unite against to sort of break this corrupt system that exists, and so that actual heroism can be birthed by that. That is his idea.
He's an accelerationist.
But also because he wants the villain to win for once. He wants the monsters to win against the villain for once. That was his original motivation. So he wants a real hero to exist so that he can beat them.
But that is because he was bullied as a kid, and he sees today's heroes as the bullies rather than actual sort of like saviors.
So he wants a real hero and be the one that beats them.
And at least in the web comic, which is like a better version of this, than the manga went in such a weird direction with the confrontation between Saitama and Garo. It's so weird. But in the web comic version,
one's version.
Yeah, Saitama chastises him for this and says that like your philosophy is not thought out. This is all misguided stuff, and you were just unclear about your actual motivations and what he's like. You went so far off base and off the deep end that you sort of convinced yourself that becoming a monster was good, and sort of like almost.
But he's clearly conflicted about that because he doesn't like the monsters either.
Yeah, so Saitama almost mocks him for his convictions or his conclusions and whatever, and he says like he's like your unserious monster hobby can never win against my serious hero hobby, something like that. I don't remember exactly the wording of it.
Yeah, no, that's fairly close to it. Yeah, that's from what I
remember. Something like that.
In listening to all of that, I just realized that the world of One Punch Man would be easily fixed if you just had like more access to mental health resources.
Just like
yeah,
because all of this is just people with trauma and like mental health issues.
There's a lot of similarities between
everyone else's problems.
Yes, but also between Japanese office culture and One Punch Man.
True,
because there's a lot of trauma comes about that. A lot of there's a lot of memes about how our Japanese culture in the office is like, you can sleep at your desk. It proves you're working hard at things. You don't go home sick. You work through it. So you just put a face mask on and work through it. It shows dedication, and that's how you get promoted. You know, these rather backwards things from my own experience of working, where, you know, if you're sick, you're sick. If you work 40 hours a week, then you've done enough to get your salary. You know, you take days off up to the limit of your days off. Otherwise, the company gets in trouble for having to pay you out for them. You know, these kind of workers' rights that we're used to. The Japanese office culture doesn't have those. You know, it's seen as a badge of honor to have worked every day that year, including weekends. It's seen as like, I'm better than you because I didn't even go home when I was ill.
I'm sure it's intentional that the author wrote Saitama to have started as a salaryman. Like I'm 100% sure that is intentional, because there is some sort of points that he's trying to make about Japanese society as a whole in this show.
Yes.
100%. But back to my original point was that, like, what I actually think is very cool about this in the context of the topic we're discussing is that I think that, at least with the webcomic, like I said, the manga went in a weird direction, but in the webcomic, it's very clear that Garo is written like a protagonist.
Yes.
He is.
Like, he saves the kid and everything, you know.
And it's just a choice of, like, you have one protagonist in Saitama, you have one protagonist in Garo. They are going down different paths, which leads one of them to becoming a monster and one of them to becoming the hero. But they are not written as an antagonist and a protagonist. The story is written like two protagonists who are on different paths.
How many times have we seen an anime?
Sometimes you need a monster.
The protagonist, the protagonist became a monster, like Tokyo Ghoul or similar things like that, where they become the thing that they initially think of as bad.
Well, Attack on Titan.
And Yeah, but no, I mean, so they become the thing they think is bad, and then use that to be a hero with it anyway. And Attack on Titan kind of it did that, and then it went the other way, and then back and forth, weirdness. My point being that yes, Garo is very much protagonist coded. He's driven by a goal, by a dream of seeing his own justice done. In that sense, he thinks that it's unfair that the villain always loses, in the sense that everybody and of course from his childhood trauma where they bullied him because they made him the villain when they played games, and so he would always lose. And that's, if he had played the hero maybe once or twice in his school games, he might have seen how good it felt to be the hero and not be defeated all the time, not be the villain all the time. Maybe that would have changed his direction, but he becomes a monster through his rage and the way he treats other people. The martial arts he's learned from Bang, everything. He goes down that dark path, becomes a monster, but then he turns it round, doesn't he?
And as we see from later stories then with the Neo heroes, is that like he also has a fundamental point that he's right about yes. How the system that exists today of heroes is sort of corrupt. And they aren't actually serving.
He's just an accelerationist about it.
They aren't the symbols of justice that they believe themselves to be. And he's like, you're just arrogant and you walk around acting like you're better than everyone else, but you're not heroes. And he's not entirely wrong.
Yeah, he's seeing the same bullies that he saw when he played games as a kid.
He doesn't want to reform the system. He wants to bring the system down so that a new and better one can rise in its place.
Which is exactly the next story with the Neo heroes is exactly the same thing, but told from a different perspective.
So, just to put a quick time check on, we are at nearly the hour and a half.
We could probably go a little longer since we don't have as many things to wrap up on.
We can try to pick like a show that Anna has seen a bit more of, I guess. So she can participate more in the discussion. If you look at the list here, for example, it would be like Chainsaw Man, Princess Mononoke.
I added Princess
Both
Mononoke
of those work.
I added Princess Mononoke because that's a very interesting movie.
Who even is the villain?
Yeah, exactly. I was asking that too.
Okay, so we have a clear protagonist, and we don't really have a clear antagonist.
I mean, you could say it's the people with the guns and everything, but even they're not really. Like, yeah, they're fucking things up for everyone, but they're just trying to live their lives.
Yeah, and in general, the leader of them is a good person because
she just wants to take care of her people.
What do you think, Anna? Who would you name if you're going to swap to a new protagonist in this one? Who would you pick?
The boar monster.
Hush you. You're a boar monster.
No, I'm just a boar.
But like, in this case, how do you define protagonist? Sort of the person you're supposed to follow because she is the titular character? Because you see a lot of what's going on from the other side as well.
Yeah, so you do. But the story is told from Ashitaka's perspective for the most, as him coming into this conflict. He is the audience view in that respect. Okay, so you see the effects on him with the original monster coming to his village, affecting him, and him going to seek out the cure is how he gets involved in this new situation with humans versus the forest, or the progress versus nature kind of thing. So
yeah, you don't really follow the story from Mononoke's perspective all that much. So
would you pick Lady Eboshi, who is obviously she's the leader of the human forces in this, but she obviously has the interest in keeping her people safe. So she's kind to the sick. She's She makes sure that everybody works their fair share, and they're there to make a business work. They're creating Irontown as a settlement that can work for them.
Now, the obvious real-life parallels here are that, sure, boar spirits and whatnot do not exist in our world. Oh, people are going to be pissed at me for saying that. but let's assume that we live in the physical realm of science and reason and whatnot, and not the spiritual
naturalism
or whatever. Yeah, exactly. So our perspective is the same perspective as that township of like, we are the rulers of nature. Me chopping down a tree is not evil, because that's
but
just
you clear cutting an entire forest.
Yeah, but we do that.
Yes, we do that.
So long as
harmful.
But what if we plant a new one in our wake, which is exactly
modern.
That's how modern forestry works.
There's arguments back and forth on that.
We plant new ones.
Now, the key there is it's how modern forestry works. A lot of what you're seeing in clear cutting in, say, the Southern American continent is old.
Yes. They're making farmland and stuff.
Once we've started doing that thing of cutting down trees and planting new ones, right? And we have this area where we do that, then we might as well just continue doing that in that area. And it's fun because, like, we have the Swedish allemansrätten. It's these weird like laws of the land that means that anyone can just go out and walk around in nature and hike and eat berries and whatnot. Whereas, like, we don't have private land where you can keep people out here. So walking around in the woods is very common in Sweden because it's legal. You can do that. It doesn't matter who owns the land. And it is a very clear cut. You can see it and experience for yourself different types of forest, if it's old forest or new forest. And something which is interesting, that if you walk in new forest, is that, like, wow, all of these trees are growing in these perfect symmetrical lines. How weird. Where it's like, if you walk in old forest, it's not like that. It is way more just haphazard and chaotic and whatnot. So you can always tell when you walk through woods if this has been like subject to forestry or whatnot. But say you've done that. You have this area that's used for logging and timber, and they chop down the trees and then they plant new ones, and then they move on to the next section. They chop down the trees, plant new ones, and they move to the next section, chop down trees, plant new ones. So you can just rotate that over a 10-year period or whatever. That's fine, right? We're doing that now. We're going to do that forever, and we're going to stay in this spot and do that, and we're not going to expand. And we're going to leave the old forest alone.
Yeah. But in your example, boar spirits don't exist, so we just have to like transfer the metaphorical boar spirits into some kind of other animal that exists here today. And if you are doing some logging in an area that does have like a protected species or something that is breeding, you are absolutely not doing any logging there, and until you've either like transplanted that species somewhere, or you're just like shit out of luck because they are protected. So
there are protections now, but think about that, because there are no wolves or bears in England. There used to be.
And there aren't even that many snakes anymore.
And I guess Princess Mononoke, snakes. If you look at it from the cultural context of the times, was like, yes, we have environmental protections today.
Yeah.
Back then, there were no such concerns.
Yeah.
Right? That's not how you...
So you can see in this context, as because Anna definitely will, is that the human side of things would be taken as heroic from the human's point of view.
Yes.
They're prospecting in a new location. They are making their lives for themselves. And
expanding so they can have more
They are risk takers. They are heroic risk takers going out into the dangerous unknown.
So, Anna, would you bear with me on this particular one? If we don't take, because they are already in conflict with Sun and the forest, right? So what would you say to Ashitaka being the villain? How would we work
the boy?
that in? do you think?
How?
Are you, the Final Fantasy VII context? He's an eco-terrorist.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too.
All right.
You know, this.
Because in Final Fantasy VII, you play as the villains, right? You play as the eco-terrorists against the noble power company.
Oh shit.
Well, I was just thinking. I looked it up. Right, it was made in '97. The '90s. You know, you had
That was the era where we were starting to get more.
Yeah. Have you noticed how Greenpeace isn't in the news anymore? It was a huge thing when I was a kid, right? And like trying to stop. And
back in the 90s, we were talking about the hole in the ozone layer.
Oh yeah, we actually fixed that one.
We did.
Fixed that one. Yes. So we stopped using certain chemicals in our aerosols, and we fixed the ozone layer. Why do we not do that more with some of the other things that are going on? I don't know.
Because money.
The internet has made us all stupid.
It was easy to switch away from CFCs, you know, but everything else, you know, we rely on that gasoline way too much. Can't get rid of that.
Yes, all those dead dinosaurs, exploding dead dinosaurs. Anyway,
if we had to stop making plastic, I don't know what we'd do.
So, here's my pitch for this. So you're a plucky, intrepid town on the edge of nowhere, and you are being invaded or fought back against by the forest itself, by it sending wolves and a girl that was raised by them to attack you. The animals are hostile. The woods themselves,
literally a frontier
in there too deep. Yeah,
encampment.
I was going to say this is just American cowboy media, right?
Yep,
because this is Manifest Destiny. This is just going out into the wild, into the frontiers, and the evil Native Americans are coming to scalp you.
But kind of again, but then, all right. So in comes a wanderer, a mysterious third party, in this case, that has been infected by the forest. Right, and he initially has no side. He jumps in, he sees that the fight's going on, and he jumps in to stop you, the humans, from being attacked by the wolf girl.
He's a planeteer. You could be one too.
Yeah, so he jumps in, and he uses the strength that the forest has given him to push you both back and bring out a. Hold on. Cat X. Thank you. Come here. That's what you get for scratching at my chair.
Yeah.
Raina's so adorable.
Yeah, she's adorable. Right.
I love how her face is like asymmetrical with the white patch. It gives her so much character.
Yes.
So this guy is on nobody's side at first, and you do your best. You show him around your town, you show him what's on offer. And yet, despite all the good things that you have, this human boy obviously has been too corrupted by the forest. And when he goes off to explore it on his own, he comes back.
He becomes Ted Kaczynski.
With the wolf girl. He sides with the wolf girl, in a sense.
We've seen this in media many times. We've seen Dances with Wolves, The Last Samurai.
Yep.
Yes. So he sides against the
Avatar.
Yes.
Which is just Dances with Wolves. Avatar is just Dances with Wolves.
Just Dances with Wolves.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Continue, Thaylien.
You know, you have that thing of how do we swap this to the thing? So you find out where the heart of the forest is, and to try and find a way to disenchant this guy of whatever corruption he's got, and bring him back to the human side, and maybe even see if you can get the wolf girl to stop attacking you as well. But in the chaos of finding the heart of the forest, you see a monster. You shoot a monster.
Yeah, you see a black bear. It doesn't matter that black bears are pretty much docile as fuck unless they have babies. Still killing it because it looks like a big scary monster.
Yes, and in this case, this gigantic deer creature is there this hideous-looking monster with far too many antlers, and it's looking at you. It's looking at you really weird. And it grows in the moonlight. It grows into this humongous dinosaur-sized creature. And so you shoot it. You take its head off, and you think that maybe this will give you some respite, give you the thing. Unfortunately, it drives the entire forest wild, and creatures start stampeding out of the woods at you. So there is a whole switch up of this, and the only way that it comes around again is if you can return humanity to the boy and the girl, and they can hopefully head off the forest's strike, as it were. But
actually, I mentioned it before, but and this is not anime, but like The Last Samurai is an interesting take on this, because you could really go both ways with like designating Tom Cruise's character as a hero or a villain, right? Because he ultimately sided with traditional Japanese society and the honor-bound culture of the samurai or whatever. But I think a lot of modern Japanese people would say that this whole era of Japan, in a very violent way, sort of forcibly modernizing itself and dealing with its sort of like violent and hierarchy past.
You shouldn't be using all this Westerner technology. You're getting dependent on it, and you're throwing away our traditions. Yeah.
I'd say a lot of modern Japanese people would still say that, like, no, actually the modernization of Japan was a good thing. Even if the actual process of doing it was a very violent upheaval.
What was the thing? Oh, that was the interesting one. There's a comparison between, I think it was Korea and Japan, right? About their cookware, right? And how they eat. So, for example, when the Japanese eat, it's okay to put your head over the bowl because you're scooping using chopsticks, right? So you don't want anything to be wasted, so you put your head over the bowl to make sure that anything that falls off the chopsticks goes back in the bowl, right? Whereas in Korea, they often eat their rice with a soup, so they have spoons. And so they keep the bowl on the table, they take the rice and then dip it in the soup and bring it to their mouth. So they take the head over the bowl thing as a sign of being, poor and destitute. You have to shovel things into your face because you lean over it like a dog does. Versus the other way, which the Japanese think is a bad idea. So there is the way that they've eaten means that I believe Korea developed glassware.
Meanwhile, in the West, we'd be like, "Oh, look at that! They're using a dessert spoon to eat their soup instead of a soup spoon. How ridiculous! How uncultured!"
Yeah. No, so whereas the Japanese kept with ceramics.
Yeah.
Because
I think that's China.
Insulated their
I think
hands.
China came up with the ceramics.
So again, that was the thing. So they stuck with ceramics because they picked up the bowl.
Yeah.
And so for their things, whereas Korean method of eating meant that they could get thinner bowls and use different subjects that allowed the heat to go through more. Because they weren't ever picking them up in their bare hands.
It is a good example of how the Japanese sort of self-imposed isolation and like their very sort of insular society led to them being like behind in a lot of ways. But
yes,
Can I just circle back to the very, very beginning when we were talking about like recommending animes or whatever? Because I just came up with my example of like who is written from this perspective, and I want to go back to Kenshin.
Okay. Sorry.
Right.
This is what it's like to live with him.
Yeah, I was gonna say before we shift off of Mononoke, Anna, we moved this one so you can actually talk, and then we've all just overtalked you. Do you have anything you want to add to this?
No, I think we have talked about this at length.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. So the whole thing about Kenshin.
I got some stuff in there,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Where we're talking about, what if we tell the story from the perspective of someone who is traditionally like maybe an antagonistic character or whatever. The whole thing about Kenshin is that this takes place, at least the anime takes place in the era right after the big upheaval, right? And now we're in the Meiji Restoration, where Japan is in the process of modernizing. It's in the process of getting rid of the old samurai society, and Kenshin is a relic from the revolution. He was brought into the revolution as a child soldier and as an assassin, and he helped with going against the old ways and killing off the samurai, killing off the shogun, and supporting the side that wanted Japan to open up and to modernize, right? But in the process of doing that, he had to kill a lot of people. He had to kill a whole lot of people, and he himself is culturally and societally more linked to the old ways. He self-identifies with the old ways while acknowledging that the old ways were bad.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's one of my favorite periods in Japanese history to watch an anime too.
It's super cool. So now, after the revolution, this is like Frieren. This is beyond Journey's End. This is like, okay, the revolution happened. This side won. This side lost. Now what? Right? That's the where Kenshin takes place, and he is an anomaly. He doesn't belong in society because he himself is part of the old ways, even though he helped to kill off the old ways because he supports the modernizing of Japan. So he straddles the line, and he inhabits that weird space in the middle where he doesn't know himself if he is a protagonist or an antagonist. He doesn't know if he's the hero or the villain. He just feels this immense guilt over everything he's done, even though he knows that he did the right thing, and he has to spend the rest of his life paying off this enormous debt that he has to the world for doing the right thing, which is a super interesting character. And I hate that the author is such a terrible person because I want to gush about
for
Kenshin.
Doing a terrible thing.
You want to gush about Kenshin without remembering it constantly.
Yeah.
So, honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Honorable mentions on the list.
Can you imagine what our marriage would be like if I were the villain and you were the hero?
Oh, that shade. That shade.
Would it be me going on about Kenshin all the time?
I'm about to enter my villain arc.
I don't think it'd be Kenshin. I think you'd be going on about something similar from that era, but not that. Maybe.
I mean, his Kenshin is my Harry Potter, right? And how I feel about J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
No.
J.K. Rowling. That's also like complicated today, right?
Yeah.
And they're doing the remake.
Maybe you're an Inuyasha fan or something.
Is that also an author with troubles?
No, I don't think so. No,
it's the right.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh, okay. He just wanted a similar era anime show to be talking about, rather than something directly comparable to the shitty author.
So, but you're constantly going on about that, and
right.
You know when. Yeah, but honorable mentions from our list. Going from the top to bottom, we have Kill the Kill, where imagine if
Ragyu and
so if Ragyu was the heroic person trying to integrate humanity with this wonderful force of the life fibers, and
Ryoko's dad was the bad guy trying to stop them.
sabotaged by people that wanted humanity to revert to being, innocent in the biblical sense, and were going to be hardline Christian about it, where clothes was sin, and therefore they were going to hammer that home. Dragon Ball Z, you could flip Goku with literally any of his villains.
Well, I mean, most of his villains end up becoming good guys anyway, so...
Yeah.
But there is an argument...
He's
semi-good.
No, he never repents. Frieza
not
just
really,
starts
no.
working together with them, but it's still awful.
Yeah. And Cell never repents.
But you could... There is an argument to be made that Goku is actually the bad guy, because if you look at the Battle of Gods with Beerus, right? He basically came to the edge of destroying the whole goddamn universe with their punching. All because he wants to fight the strong guy.
Yeah. Neon Genesis Evangelion? Why are you getting back in the robot, Shinji?
Yeah, that actually happens in the rebuild movies. They're like, don't get back in the robot, Shinji. Don't pilot an Eva.
Mm-hmm. Imagine a super confident Shinji that rizzes up Asuka and...
he does that. He also does that at the end, too. Jujutsu Kaisen... imagine Sukuna being the good guy and the JJ sorcerers
being revived and slowly stronger.
Yeah, they did.
They tried to do a thing in the manga in Jujutsu Kaisen, because the manga is done.
Yes.
Like it's over.
Yeah,
and then they did a spin-off thing that takes place like 80 years in the future.
Yeah.
Where they tried to do a thing
with aliens attack.
Maybe the cursed spirits aren't really that bad after. It's weird, and it's not
because aliens are attacking, and so they have to use the cursed spirits kind of thing to fight off aliens.
The aliens worship the cursed spirits as gods, and they think that we're evil for killing them.
Yeah. They also try to say that
Jujutsu Kaisen, where Sukuna is an old hero that's being revived slowly and made more powerful because this guy's going around collecting his sacred fingers and eating them to return power to him. And Gojo is the ultimate villain that has been using his family's wealth and power and his incredible abilities to manipulate the entire world into how he wants it.
Which is something they've kind of pointed out in the show to begin with, that these big old families and Jujutsu society in general is too repressive and regressive.
They do, yes.
Yeah. So you got that angle too.
But the Chainsaw Man, where you flip over the thing between Makima and Denji, where the Chainsaw
Makima just
Man
wants to be the good guy,
villain who's going around chewing up demons and removing concepts from reality.
Yeah,
I mean that is Makima's thing of talking about just. Well, I mean, she wants to use then these powers for good in her perspective when she says there are a lot of things that this world would be better without. War, for example, and saying that there are already things that don't exist anymore that used to exist. But you ate them.
Like far right parties from historical wars.
Yeah.
A star in the sky that made you insane when you looked at it. 3 other things that could happen besides death when you die.
Yes.
Those are some of the examples that Makima rattles off that used to exist but don't anymore.
I'm not so sure. I haven't actually watched Arjun the Demi-Human.
So in Arjun, essentially the government is going after these people to either turn them into government soldiers or more or less exterminate them, because they think that the Ajin are too powerful. You can't really kill their shadow creatures, So, but what if the government is right and these people really are like the worst terrorists you could ever imagine? Because they do kind of try to point towards that in the second season.
So
shame it never got finished.
They are the people trying to kill the angels of Evangelion, but
I just feel like if you made the show today, in today's political climate, you cannot sell a show where the government butchers a people and then it turns out they were right because they were subhuman.
But no, they're not. But there is a group of Ajin who are a terrorist organization.
Yeah.
But they're painted as the good guys, the good terrorists, because the government is suppressing them. You got to fight for your freedom. They're freedom fighters, not terrorists.
Yes.
So it's morally gray areas.
How that changes based on who's in charge.
Yeah.
And of course, we come to Berserk, where Griffith did nothing wrong.
Griffith did nothing wrong.
Exactly. He's already the protagonist of the story because we all know that Griffith did nothing wrong.
Well,
Guts is just trying to kill all these demons.
He was really upset that day.
The demons.
I was
just
like, what kind of mental gymnastics would one have to pull off in order to actually make Griffith into a good guy?
He just wanted to unite the kingdom.
It's a popular internet meme.
He just wanted to unite the kingdom. It's Guts who betrayed him, and that caused everything to go wrong. If Guts hadn't betrayed him, it would have been fine.
Swap this round where Griffith really is the hero trying to unite the kingdom, and Guts is actually is a traumatized but jealous man that never actually believed that Griffith was his friend, and so when Griffith's captured and imprisoned, the fact that Griffith isn't truly, isn't able to do what he's done, he then rejects this reality and replaces it with his own, where he causes the eclipse. The eclipse and goes demonic. So that now you have Griffith, who went through all that pain and torture in the cells, having to augment himself and regain his life as the marked
marked swordsman,
who all the demons had become a swordsman, become black swordsman, but with skill and speed rather than the giant demon slayer, the dragon slayer sword.
And
so he's a dex build.
He's a what? Yeah, dex build. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe there is something.
I misheard you on that one.
Dex.
Yes,
he's a dick build.
I misheard that. So I recovered well, but I misheard it. Mm-hmm.
No, there's
yes,
maybe
like the famous wrestler Dick Von Dick.
Dick Von Dick from the Von Dick's family with the
Dicks are adorable.
Yes.
The Dick
he's
claw
from Ultimate Muscle. Yeah.
Oh,
did you not know this was a real character, Dick Von Dick? Who is a wrestler who
are you joking?
Who highlights the power of the mighty Dick.
He's not joking. Onegai Muscle is a hilarious show.
Dick Von Dick.
Yes, yeah. I can show you him.
It's a comedy show, so of course
carry on.
It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts?
I was like, maybe there's something to be said for a Griffith type person who, due to circumstances, ends up in a near-death state, has to do something really, really horrible to survive, and then has to find his way back to being a hero again after that.
He kind of does that in the manga, as I understand it.
Really?
Griffith goes through a redemption arc. Yeah.
Really?
No. Oh my god.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. He sheds femto and becomes a good guy.
Died?
I don't know. I haven't
before or after Mura died.
You'd have to ask Dino. I haven't actually read it. But no, as I understand it, he goes through a whole redemption arc and becomes a good guy and fights against the God Hand.
No. I refuse this reality. I do not accept this reality.
I want to say it's a difficult road he has to go down to do it, but I'm pretty sure that's I could look that up while Thaylien's doing whatever Thaylien's doing.
Showing us dicks, I think.
I'm done. I've found you.
Oh, you're sending some dicks? Sounds unsolicited dicks?
Yes. So obviously Dick is a very small African deer.
Unsolicited dicks.
Yeah, you've never heard that?
Have you not? That's also a trope. It's a.
He's the animal, a dick.
Yes.
Oh. Yes.
He was enamored by the poise and grace of the tiny African deer.
Oh my god, he's the animal, Dick Von Dick. Oh my god, that's so good. What was the name of the show again?
Ultimate Muscle.
Ultimate Muscle, thank you.
Yes. Or Onegai Muscle.
No, Onegai Muscle is one about...
No, this is Kinnikuman, isn't it? Yeah, this is Kinnikuman.
So... Oh, it is? Oh, okay, I know what that is.
Yeah, so apparently Griffith gets...
But that is such a rabbit hole. There's like 1,000 episodes at this point. Jesus.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Ultimate Muscle is a similarly stupid show to like Bobo Bobo Bobo. And other ridiculous ones like that. So, yeah. But that's our honorable mentions gone through.
That takes us out of the main part of the show and into the supporter questions, which, I mean, kind of supporter questions. Do you want to read out Thaylien, or should I?
Well, I can go for it, because unfortunately, due to the absence of one Xenogelion, the fan base of Kanpai Cast decided not to give us any questions this week. We're terribly sorry, and we will bring the funny man back as soon as possible. That's all I can say on that one.
Similarly, when we go to the new comments from last week, Kanpai News, nobody says in a surprise twist, we have an oops, no interaction section here. And similarly for Kanpai Cast, that's right. We got nothing. That's a running trend today. Very sad.
This may be because we're having to record, due to scheduling, we're recording a little bit early. But
True,
I would usually expect to see some people's interactions, before a Saturday. We do have a few people watching.
You should at least come by and watch the memes, even if you don't want to see Xeno. Or you can't see Xeno.
Yeah. Heck, we've not even really received all that many of them this week either.
I mean, if you do that thing of using the collaborator function on YouTube and
for Poland Ball, yeah,
and link the Poland Ball thing, you'll definitely get a couple of views. The last time you did that, the show got like 1.7 thousand views. That being said, I don't know what the average watch time was on that. Probably not like super good. I don't know.
No.
I'd have to go back and look at it.
But still.
But it's appreciated.
But you can do that, of course. You can absolutely do that, and we're fine with that, because it's like, we let our supporters know that like we sometimes pop up on other channels and be like, hey, these are friends of the channel, and we collaborate with them from time to time. So that's fine. You can do that. I don't mind that.
I think I forgot to do that on the last Notice Me Senpai you were in, but I'll try to remember going forward.
No problem at all. You can do that. That's fine.
A little bit of behind the scenes for
Discord,
you.
Remember to change your name, or Discord name, temporarily to Reminding Nasuth to collaborate YouTube videos.
All right. So I think it's time for the memes now that we're out of all that. Most of our memes tend to come from Reddit, and we usually take up to 6 viewer memes a week, but there weren't any this week. And we don't have any from Xeno either, so it's just me and Thaylien. But hopefully they're good enough to make up the difference.
Maybe.
It's probably just another slop at 6.99, but at 7 is definitely good. Yeah.
I respect any meme featuring Reagan.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yes.
I love that face. I don't know, that can't be from the actual anime, but
no, it's not.
No.
Yeah. All right. Reporter, does Vegeta have the best redemption arc in all of anime and manga? John, no, Vegeta doesn't even have the best redemption arc in Dragon Ball. Hell yeah. And it is Piccolo Day today, as we're recording this, so even better. Anya Forger, good grades or peanuts? Can't blame her.
Wilmo.
And my last 3 video memes. Sorry, you guys say no?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm impressed with myself for actually recognizing and understanding all of these so far.
Hey, that means I picked good ones. Now come the weird ones, though.
She liked to dance all the hip hop spots, and she cruised to the grooves like an acrobat. Not just her bench, she liked to pop because she was living la vida loca. She had jumps like a truck.
Yep.
I was like, what? Baby, move your butt. I think I sing it again. She had
Okay, that's enough of that.
my poor boy.
What?
My poor boy.
Yes, it was unfortunate.
Oh, was he useful?
He showed remarkable resolve. His unwavering spirit in the face of 30-foot titans was a literal beacon of...
Okay, but
Did he help in the fight?
Well, he contributed significantly to the spatial redistribution of enemy forces, primarily by acting as a high-calorie distraction, so the actual soldiers could...
Was he useful?
Well, everyone is useful in different ways. You see, an army is like a well-oiled machine. Some people are the gears, and some people are the biological grease that gets violently crushed in between the gears to keep them moving. So it really depends on what metric.
Did he kill any Titans?
Define kill.
All that training, the promises about making my son a soldier, all that time and effort.
And our tax dollars.
Did his presence result in a Titan that was alive before he arrived, becoming not alive after he arrived?
Well, technically, we have captured Titans for experiments that...
No! Did he even die from fighting a Titan?
I really don't know what you want me to say to that.
I'm looking at an armed commander. If it wasn't from fighting Titans, then how?
You'd be surprised by the sheer spectrum of intelligence in our military.
Which arm is this?
What are you?
I actually didn't realize it was this long.
Right-handed?
Left?
He was right-handed.
Damn it. 50-50.
Not really. 90% of the population is right-handed. You should have guessed right.
Dude, can you just... Look, lady,
87.5.
your son tried to pet a 15-meter class.
What?
He walked right up to it, said pss, 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 and held his hand out. I'm honestly surprised he lasted as long as he did. The Titan looked confused, I looked confused, it was the whole thing.
He tried to pet it? Who taught him how to do that?
I don't know. He kept hanging out with this short, bald kid from Ragako Village. Said they were practicing Titan taming. I think his name was Conrad or something.
Oh, that would be my other son, Connie. He's enlisting next year.
I hate my job.
That was longer than I thought, but I think it was worth it.
That was good. That was really good.
Yes.
You and I are not so different.
I'm not like you.
Well, to each his own. Join me. Imagine what we could accomplish together. All the women we could breed.
Or you can keep sucking dick again and again and again and again until we're both dead. Is that what you want? Think about it!
Oh my god.
You're welcome.
The little AI change. Yeah.
Or you keep sucking dick again and again. Right, on to Thaylien.
I mean, a little bit more simple with mine.
A new grimoire. Oh my god.
With Frieren the Mage, with Fern Stark, Elf.
Video meme.
Kind of.
Referring
Your
to
Honor,
knockers.
the client was simply referring to knockers, a species from the 2021 anime called To Your Eternity, and nothing else, I promise.
Definitely. Do you two know what knockers is slang for? With a K and a CK? K-N-O-C-K?
Yes, I do.
Okay, alright. Just double checking.
What?
Yes,
Exactly.
I was gonna say.
Chainsaw in my boot.
I was gonna say I have a wife. I know what knockers are, but apparently my wife doesn't.
No, I thought the meme was about. I know what knockers are. I was just like, I thought the meme was about something else. Okay.
Oh.
Meanwhile,
This is a good one.
that poor kid.
Oh my god.
What kind of woman is your type?
No, I don't like
Okay.
that. I don't
You
like
have
that.
to explain
It's
this.
culture. Let's just say these women are packing high in vitamin D.
I hope you're not allergic to nuts.
Okay.
So, why don't we try to be adults too? What do you mean? Let's go file our taxes.
Only Americans understand.
This just hurts too much because it was just tax season.
Yeah.
Yes.
Too close.
And our
Exactly.
very last meme, which is also a video meme.
He's still recovering from the impact of COVID. Meanwhile, 2025. What will you do about the second one? Hantavirus!
Not the hentai virus.
No. There's been an outbreak of hantavirus on a cruise ship.
Yes.
Again.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I know about it.
Oh, okay. All right.
What is the hentai virus?
Yes, the hentai virus. Yeah. Right.
All right, I have to.
Yes.
I have to swallow the professional will actually on that one.
Yes.
Having worked in infectious disease for like 7 years now.
Yeah.
We will not go further into that because that's getting work too involved. I don't talk too much about professional printing, so
Don't listen to his lies. He does too.
I do quite a bit sometimes. Anyway,
right.
yes,
that
is unfortunately all of our memes.
Yeah, you want to take us out, Thaylien? I did the intro. You're welcome to take us out.
No. So it's your intro, therefore your outro.
All right. Well, that does it for this week's Kanpai Cast. Thank you again for joining us, Nick and Anna. Very, very kind of you. Make sure you check out socials in the links below to follow these wonderful people in their endeavors. And I think now it's time to bottoms up and Kanpai.
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 Kanpai!